Hi, welcome to this brief video on finding the volume of a sphere. First, we'll quickly review a couple of terms you already know. One is, if you were to take a flat surface and put down one dot, and then find all of the points on that flat surface that are a set distance away from that dot you put down, that would be called a circle. That's the whole idea, that the radius never changes. Well, likewise, a sphere is if I were to put a dot in space and then find every point that's a set distance from that dot, you would make a ball shape or a globe-like structure, and that would be called a sphere. Just like with circles, spheres have only one measurement that's involved with the particular sphere, and that's the radius. Therefore, don't be surprised that the volume formula for a sphere has only one variable in it, and that's r. Let's say that the sphere off to the right has a radius of, say, 5. I would merely put in the 5 for r. So v equals 4/3 pi times 5 to the third power, or cubed. Following the order of operations, I would have to multiply 5 by itself 3 times. So that becomes 4/3 pi times 125. Since this 125 is all over 1, I can multiply the 4 by 125. That would be 500 over 3 pi. And there is your volume for this sphere. Before we go any further, we should probably talk about what kinds of units do you get for the volume of a sphere. If you remember right from our earlier screencast, volume is always in cubic units. So in this case, we don't know what the 5 was in. We don't know if it was inches or feet or whatever. So we just say units cubed, or cubic units. So that would be our final answer. In case you forgot that volume was in cubic units, there's another way to figure it out. Let's pretend for a second that the radius was not just 5, but 5 inches. So if this had been 5 inches, my original setup would have been volume equals 4/3 pi 5 inches cubed. And that would be the same thing as 4/3 pi 5 inches times 5 inches times 5 inches. And you see how the inches right there, there's 3 of them that multiply by each other. The units can also be thought of as coming directly from the math. Just like the 5 got cubed, so did the inches unit. And that's another way to realize that that leads to a cubic inches if you had inches given to you for the radius. So here's another sphere for you to try. I'm going to have you try the top problem with the radius of 10 centimeters and go ahead and see if you can find the volume. You can pause the video while you try it. Okay, so I assume you've had a chance to work this out. So if you set it up correctly, you use the formula 4/3 pi r cubed. And I like to write out the formula entirely before I even put anything in. It's not a bad habit to get into. 4/3 pi, and then in place of the r, hopefully you put in 10 centimeters. And the volume comes out to be 4/3 pi. 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. And then the centimeters cubed. And since this 1,000 right here is all over 1, we can multiply across. 4 times 1,000 is 4,000. over 3 pi cubic centimeters. And there is our volume. This last sphere here is for you to try tonight and then for you to bring to class tomorrow. I hope you found this particular video helpful.